Jung had a unique perspective about schizophrenia, a psychological disorder which, according to Jung, granted a unique ability, making schizophrenics uniquely qualified for highly revered spiritual positions, at least in the past. This video tells Jung's insights about schizophrenia, how he believed schizophrenics differ from regular people, what provides them this unique ability, and how this ability affects their psyche and what we can learn from it. Today, schizophrenia is classified as a psychological disorder and widely known for the notorious delusions and hallucinations patients experience, portrayed in many movies. It is often mixed up with a very rare disorder called multiple personality disorder, what it is not. Clinicians divide schizophrenia's symptoms into positive and negative. The positive symptoms are hallucinations, delusions, and disorganized thinking or behavior, the ones portrayed in many movies. The negative symptoms are diminished emotional expression, social withdrawal, and the difficulty experiencing pleasure. However, it's the positive symptoms that captivated people around the globe, including C.G. Jung. The bizarre visions, voices, and grandiose beliefs, which raised the question Jung was so fascinated about. Are these hallucinations truly random, or could they stem from a deeper, universal source? Early in Jung's career, while working under Eugen Bleuler at the Burghölzli Psychiatric Hospital in Zurich, Switzerland, he encountered a young male patient diagnosed with schizophrenia. This patient described a vision. He saw the sun with a long, phallus-like form extending from it, creating a wind. At first, this seemed like a typical psychotic delusion, particularly strange and without obvious meaning. Yet Jung was intrigued. He sensed it might be symbolic, but he had no particular mythological parallel in mind at that time. Years later, Jung came across a description in a Gnostic or Hermetic text, scholars differ on the exact source, which mentioned the vision of the sun and the tube-like projection emanating from it, creating a cosmic wind or light, an image strikingly similar to what his patient described years earlier. Jung was astonished to find this motif echoed in an ancient text, especially since his patient had neither the education nor any known exposure to such esoteric materials which described this case. For Jung, this alignment between an isolated psychotic vision and the ancient mythic motive was more than just a coincidence. It exemplified how certain archetypical images can arise spontaneously within the individual psyche. Images that can also be found in mythology, folklore, and religious traditions around the globe. This example strengthened Jung's view that the unconscious is not merely personal, but also collective, containing primordial patterns shared by all humankind. In essence, this solar phallus case convinced Jung that the human unconscious contains a layer of universal symbols all humans share with each other, like archetypes he later described extensively. According to Jung, the unconscious is composed of two layers: a personal layer containing repressed memories and individual experiences, and a collective layer holding universal motives inherited from humankind's ancestral past. And according to Jung, this last collective layer is vast and ancient, housing archetypical insights that help us navigate timeless human challenges, like how to handle guilt, shame, how personal development works, individuation in his words, and much more. And Jung often compared the unconscious with a dragon, immense, ancient, and potentially overwhelming, a strong force within us, which cannot be controlled nor fully understood. And Jung's conviction was that we fear the unconscious, because we could be devoured by it. Yet we are tasked with facing the dragon, but not becoming its meal. Because according to Jung, the unconscious is not solely terrifying, it also provides guidance, creative inspiration, emotional healing, and the path to wholeness. It persistently influences us, whether we acknowledge it or not. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Therefore we, the conscious part of our psyche, need to learn and find a way to interact with the unconscious and form a constructive relationship. For C.G. Jung, this was so important he even coined a specific term for that, the transcendent function. And Jung believed that the key difference between regular people and schizophrenics lies exactly in that relationship with the unconscious. According to Jung, mental health depends on maintaining a proper filter between the conscious mind and the vast unconscious reservoir. Jung theorized that in schizophrenia, this vital filter erodes or collapses even, and instead of receiving brief symbolic messages from the unconscious, such as dreams, people with schizophrenia may experience continuous floods of archetypical images, mythical figures, and intense spiritual or symbolic content. These intrusions can be profoundly disorienting and threatening, blurring the line between personal reality and the collective mythological experience. And as a result, individuals with schizophrenia may see mythic or religious images in their hallucinations, even if they have never encountered such stories personally. And ironically, this unfiltered connection to the unconscious can yield special insights or spiritual experiences. In more traditional societies, these individuals might have been revered as shamans or seers due to their direct link to the sacred realm, the collective unconscious. However, without their protective filter, they risk losing the ability to distinguish between the mundane reality we all live in and the symbolic mythical world. To the insane man, the unconscious is real and immediate. He is submerged in its floods, without the defenses an ordinary man possesses. Beyond the solar phallus case, Jung observed other schizophrenic patients whose delusions mirrored large-scale mythic or alchemical themes, world creation stories, battle of deities, or serpentine dragons. And although these accounts initially seemed like incoherent nonsense for Jung, he later often recognized similar motives in mythology and esoteric writings. The materials of the collective unconscious often carry a numinous and mystical quality. This gave schizophrenics a unique and direct access to what people associated with the sacred and the divine. And in older or tribal societies, individuals with such access have often been elevated to revered spiritual roles. But it also occurred in Christianity, a religion drowned in rationality and logic. Figures like Brother Klaus, who reportedly lived for decades alone in the woods, experiencing vivid visions, which Jung studied extensively for their connection to this deeper realm, the collective unconscious. And according to Jung, because a schizophrenic psyche is flooded by powerful unconscious imagery, the individual may lose the ability to differentiate between his own identity, and these archetypical forces. They start believing they themselves are the deity, the hero, or the mythical figure revealed in their visions. Jung referred to this phenomenon as an inflation, where the conscious self is inflated by the potent energies of the unconscious. We think we are more than we actually are. And ironically, Jung pointed out that while the regular person typically fears the unconscious for their power and overwhelming potential, the schizophrenic rushes towards it by identifying himself with the glory and the powerful divine forces of the collective unconscious. Jung's insight about schizophrenia essentially are about our relationship to the unconscious. deny it and become neurotic, deprived of our creativity, our inner strength, our inner guidance, or get devoured by it and merge with it and become psychotic, losing control and the ability to distinguish between what is real and what is not. Or as Jung put it, we face a lifelong balancing act between conscious awareness and the deeper, often mysterious forces within us. He specifically coined the term transcendent function to describe that psychological process of bridging the gap between the conscious and the unconscious, and that allows the psyche to integrate opposing forces within us.